Hi, I'm Leora Isaacs, and I'm welcoming you to the second in a three-part webinar on evaluation, how program evaluation can help me. In our first webinar, we covered an introduction to evaluation and why do it and how to get started. And in this webinar, we will be focusing on an introduction to outcomes. We're going to look at what we mean by outcome statements. I'll try to make the case for why to start with outcomes, and you'll have an opportunity to have some practice in developing outcome statements. So to start, what is an outcome? Well, it's the results or benefits of your program for individuals, families, groups, or communities, as distinct from what you do or how you do it. It really is, what does the end user get out of the program? How will he or she change as a result of participation? So outcomes are really the end point. It's where we want to go. It's what success will look like. And so why do we start at the end? Well, first of all, if you don't know where you're going, you may not get there. You won't be able to measure how far you've progressed, and you're going to really have a hard time communicating to other people what you've accomplished. So the idea of, from the start, saying where you're going to go is an excellent way to lay out what you hope to achieve and thereby set the path for moving forward. Also, in a lot of ways, it's the Jewish thing to do. We have the saying, Sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila. The end point really begins with the first thought of about how you're going to get started and through planning. Furthermore, over the past number of years, outcomes and the end results and the impact that programs have really is what is on the mind of the funders. They want to know about their return on investments. They want to have proof that their money has made a difference. And by assessing outcomes, you're able to show that to them. Funders have begun to take learning and evaluation very seriously. As I said, because they feel that this ensures meaningful returns on their investment, and they've become much more sophisticated in their focus on accountability and outcomes-based funding. So more and more funders are requiring objective assessments, not just anecdotal evidence, of the programs, people, and/or environments that they impact. And they use this information in critical decisions to guide their funding of future endeavors and to make decisions about continuing to work with specific organizations, to be honest. So in the words of a funder, you have to be interested in outcomes, otherwise you're only looking at process. Setting forth expected results ahead of time, developing indicators to assess success, those things force programs to say what success looks like, but the value is in the doing of it. So they're not just satisfied with articulation of outcomes, they're looking to measure and to see how well we've done when we launch programs toward achieving these goals. Or in the words of another funder, most important to me as a funder is that the organizations in which we invest ask themselves often how they're doing and how they know it. And they reflect on that information to adjust and improve their program design and delivery. Are numbers part of it? Certainly. but so is client feedback, environmental and economic factors, and so on. We mentioned this in the previous webinar, that there is a story to be told by complementary quantitative and qualitative data. Very often, neither alone is sufficient. But the bottom line is that funders are asking us as program providers to not only assert that we are achieving our goals, but to demonstrate and to show them how we know that we are making progress toward the outcomes that we've articulated. So let's begin by unpacking what we mean by outcomes. Well, certainly, outcomes in the vernacular refers to your goals. What are you trying to accomplish? Not what programs are you trying to mount or who are you trying to engage, but with the participants, what do you hope to accomplish? Can you articulate these goals as measurable outcomes? How will you know when you've been successful? What will it look like? What will people know, feel, and do after participating in your program? There's a handy acronym that helps us stay on track with regard to outcomes. We say that outcomes should be SMART. They should be specific in terms of the participants, in terms of the attitudes, knowledge, and behaviors that we hope to achieve. They should be measurable. There should be a way to gauge how far you've come. And so either in very quantitative measures or by performance, you should be able to articulate what you will see if you succeed. They need to be achievable. They need to be given the duration, the intensity of the program, taking into account who the participants are. There has to be a realistic chance that you're going to be able to achieve the outcomes that you throw out. They need to be results-oriented. So this is where we very often fall down in the Jewish community in terms of our programs, but in education in general. Very often we are satisfied with articulating what we hope to achieve in terms of outputs, the activities that we produce, the resources that we create, the numbers of people who were enrolled, but we don't focus on what the results will be, the impact on the participants. They need to be timed, which means that we need to be able to say that at the end of the program, participants will do X, Y, and Z. Or within 6 months, they will apply what they've learned in these ways. So that takes us to the idea that outcomes can be stated as immediate, short-term, intermediate, after a short period of time, a week after the intervention, a month after, or long-term, after they've applied their learnings and their skills from the professional development opportunity. Then this is what's going to be different in terms of what they do in their classroom, or longer term, what their students know, feel, and do. Outcomes also, we should remember, can either be expected, which is what from the beginning we anticipate will happen, but also we should keep our eyes open to the serendipitous outcomes that may be unexpected and unintended. And sometimes these would be positive, and sometimes these would be negative, but we have to be able to keep our eyes open in order to be able to measure and assess them.